Hey everybody, I hope you're well. I hope you're well. And I'm reading this. Saw this, asked for permission to post it, and the person who wrote this said yes, she does not want her name or her email attached to it. So I took great pains not to do that, but she does want the message out there for other end up here. So here is what she wrote. And this is in her. This is her talking. I'm reading her message. This is what I'm about to say is not my first person, it is her story. She writes, I am a victim of what seems to be a trending crime spree involving a lot of youth here in Oakland. I got mugged by a group of four young males in the Cleveland Heights neighborhood last week. These teenagers are equipped with guns and knives and stolen vehicles to terrorize innocent people just walking the neighborhood at all times of the day. And through my experience, it seems as though they are inexperienced using these weapons and vehicles, which is really disturbing and also concerning. This is a reflection post I put out on social media Sunday, a week after being robbed, and to get the word out to my community. 1 week ago, in my neighborhood, I got mugged. It all happened so fast, it was dark. A young male ran up behind me and snatched my phone and headphones from me. I retaliated with so much adrenaline in me and without thinking. I jumped into the getaway vehicle parked close by to get my possessions back. Not wise. It happened nonetheless. I froze. Me against four young males who then pushed me out of the moving vehicle and, after making a U turn, tried to run me over. This was probably the most horrific thing I have ever encountered. I screamed for help. No one came out of their homes to see what was going on. I stumbled to my dear friend's house down the street. They took me into safety and drove me home. Thankfully, I walked away with only scratches and bruises. I thought to myself, I really could have died. I had so much vengeance and anger and despair immediately after the incident. I wanted to fight back with all I had in me, only to realize I'm not a violent person. This is me 1 week later, scared, violated, broken, traumatized, numb. And now and then I get flashbacks of what happened. I even catch myself making up scenarios of the could haves and should haves that would have made the situation different. I'm doing better now, still very much shaken. I'm focusing on my own safety, being more vigilant, and getting back on my feet. After thoughtful processing, I see the bigger picture and want to stay positive about it and set the situation free and hope better for these young ones. These are hard times. It's the holidays. We're in the middle of a pandemic. People are without stable jobs. People are without jobs. People are desperate. People are suffering. Crime is skyrocketing in Oakland. There is much work to be done. I have to want to do better for them. I have to be strong and set a good example for them. I have to be brave and show them I care. I don't have much money or material things to offer, but I do have a big heart, and I'm going to figure out a way to extend my love out to those young boys and spread awareness to my community. This is my healing. So that is, excuse me. Uh, that was the message that she asked me to read to you, and I did. I just want to add to that by saying that I have blogged about a major problem in Oakland that other media have not talked about. And I'll be just blunt. The problem is that for years, we have allowed our young black males that chose to do so to run around in the streets as teenagers, unsupervised, committing crimes. Now, our response has been, other than to jail them, nothing. We have not at all called for or had seminars on or anything, ways that parents at home can better teach their kids, or if you like, police their kids so that the police are not out policing them, which is what you don't want. Okay. And yet nothing happens. In the old days, hey, look, if I were out doing that sort of thing, I'd have got a spanking. No, some of you don't want to hear that, but we've become, I think, too lenient. And some of us think, well, we can't talk to the kids a certain way because they have guns. We'll take the guns away. And then a lot of us as black folk have to not be afraid to speak up when we see someone young, even if they're not our own. I don't have kids right now, and I'd love to, but just show that you care, because a lot of these kids are acting out because they don't have anything to do. This has been a common problem in Oakland for a long time. Festival at the Lake, I sometimes laugh at some of the takes about the riot that happened there. And they just don't get it. As a person who's lived in Adams Point for some time now, I'll tell you what the problem was when Festival at the Lake had its riot problem in 1994, and then again in 95, but to a lesser extent. The problem in 94 is very simple. The festival stopped at 6 o'clock when the sun was up still during the summer. Sunrise was down at 8. And so between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, that was enough time for kids to get in trouble rather than leaving the Festival of the Lake with only the need to go home. Why? Because it was dark. Okay? We took, myself and Phil Tagami, we took that point, that case, to the Adams Point Neighborhood Preservation Society, as they called themselves at the time. And I think Nancy Reeser was the chairman. And our words went through one ear and out the other. They were just bad kids, or they didn't want to say bad black kids. It wasn't that we weren't giving them enough to do, or we weren't stopping the festival too early or anything like that. They just wanted to have their prejudice. They didn't want to change the environment to see how a change in the environment will cause a change in the behavior of the kids that we're talking about. I was there when that happened. And what's happened subsequent is every time I see a report about someone getting attacked or having this sort of encounter, it's the same thing. Sometimes Latino, sometimes black. And 14, 15, 16 years old. That's ridiculous. We don't accept that as a crisis, and it is. We have just let it continue. And now, in the middle of the pandemic, the main forces that have caused those problems to rise, lack of income and lack of public money for public safety appropriate to where it's needed, have been exacerbated. That's what the pandemic has tended to do. It exacerbates problems of a civic nature. And what the mayor did, what my god sister did, was say, I'll have a task force, but the task force didn't address this sort of thing. The task force did not address getting money into the hands of Oaklanders. I called for some time for the use of redevelopment, bringing back redevelopment through Senate Bill 628 Beal, for Jim Beal down in San Jose, who wrote the legislation, to be used in Oakland. It has never been used in Oakland. And it's been on the books since 2015. I've screamed about this again and again and again. Nothing. Okay? I mean, why do we have elected officials if the officials won't take action when it's the most meaningful? We have a problem, it seems, particularly in my party, of getting money to people. It's like we don't want people to have money. We want them to be poor so they can continue to have these problems so that we can continue to say, hey, you need us because you have these problems. How about getting to a point where these problems are lessened to the point of zero? Zero. We're not doing that. Defund the police? That was never the answer. Reform the police, of course. But we need the police. We need community officials. We need that. But we also need, we need active parents, okay? And we need for the parents to stop foisting their problems on the city government by not taking care of their kids. I don't care if it's parents or kids having kids that had them when they were 17 themselves, whatever. We have to give them the help so that they can help themselves. And we, as a social system, haven't done that in Oakland, and we need to do that. Otherwise, and I think arguably there already are, we're going to have more cases like the one I just read to you just now. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com.